Hello, and welcome to another Mr. Beats By video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as we're looking at a Sony PCM-701ES. Now this is a PCM digital processor for audio, obviously, and I've not seen one of these. I do actually have a PCM processor of my own, which is just looking PCM-501. So this is the next model up, and I'm actually quite intrigued to see what the differences are. Let's get it unpacked and let's crack on. So this is fairly typical. You unbox a piece of kit, leave it in your room overnight, and you come back and there's two. Just magically there's another one that's just arrived. Happens to me all the time, and yeah. Maybe I could use that as an excuse as to why I have so much kit. But anyway, yeah, we have two units. This one apparently is pretty poorly. I will have a look at this probably in a future video and just see what's wrong with this. The owner of these two units, he also owns the PCM-1, which was featured in a previous video. Now that does have power supply issues still. Unit that controls the minus and plus 15 volt rails, plus another rail that I can't think off the top of my head. It's doing all sorts of weird things with voltages. So open circuit is about 9 volts minus plus, and then when you load it up with the rest of the units, or connected to the rest of the units, it goes to about 18 volts plus minus, and it's not doing nice things to the electronics, and producing all sorts of weird and wonderful issues. So the thought was, apparently these are not that dissimilar to the PCM F1, but actually they are quite different. The electronics is based on the PCM F1, or is similar to, but it's not the same at all. And there is a DC-DC converter in there, but it's physically bigger, and it is quite different actually. Not hugely, from what I understand, but it is different. It's not a swap out, and everything will be good. So I still have that PCM F1 to source. I've got chips on order. Some chips have arrived. It's fried quite a lot of the logic, but I will get there with that. I'm really determined, and the owner is supporting me on my quest, so fingers crossed. But the problem with both of these, this top one is apparently for scrap. Like I say, for parts. You can see on the top there, maybe. No, you can't, so that's fair enough. And but the front panel is actually in pretty good condition. I say that because this one here, you can see the playback muting switch is broken. It's pressed in, all the rest are good, but playback muting is broken. But the switch itself also looks cosmetically not that great, but this one's good. So I don't know, I might swap over the front panel. They've both got nicks and dings in them. But we'll have a look at them as well. I'm lucky enough to have a service manual. So this was included from the person who owns these, and which is great. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to looking at these because, again, it is something quite different. And yeah, so let's see what we can do. So, as you'd expect, the quality of the electronics is amazing. There's wonderful capacitors. The way the whole board is it's just screams quality. Audio quality caps and the power supply here. This is the DC-DC converter You see, physically much bigger than the one in the PCM F1. But it does essentially the same thing, I believe. I've not really looked at the circuit diagram, so I'm sort of maybe a little bit guessing. But yeah, from what I understand from the 501, it's pretty much the same. So yeah, I'm interested to see why there's no display on this, because I might be able to get this going, which would be great, because you could actually have two of these fully working. The switch on the front, I would probably I should be able to use some modern equivalent on that, but we'll see. You know, it's, if I have to make one out of two, nick the switch over or swap the panel or whatever, I don't know. Like I said, I've never taken one of these apart before. I've never even seen this model before in the flesh. Then I'll do it. But yeah, let's crack on. Taking the front off is actually quite easy. It looks a bit more complex than it actually is. So it's 3 screws, one here, one here, one here on the top. And then you've got 3 screws underneath, here, here and here. And then the whole front just lifts off, and it is just the metal section that you're removing. Then this unclips, and note there's a wire here that comes out via or past this clip here. We've got 3 screws here. So what do you reckon the switches are going to be? I reckon they're going to be very similar to what's on the Betamax recorders, just the sort of tactile momentary switches. Although they don't look to have 5 pins. Looking at the print on there, so just 4 pins, but yeah, let's see. Place your bets now. Oh, that's a screw. Didn't think that was coming off very well. There we go. Yeah. And let's put that so it doesn't get scratched. So the actual switch itself is fine. Oh, it's actually this that's jammed. It's been glued. I can see it now. It's got like super glue all around it. So I've tried to free off the super glue, but being super glue, it's just so badly stuck, like well and truly stuck. So what I've decided to do, there are the 2 units. The second unit is the spares unit, although I will try and get that going in a separate video, no doubt. But yeah, I've taken the front off the other one, and I'll just have to see what I can do just to free off that super glue on that one. So all of the buttons do actually seem good. So let's get it back together. Clean the back of the display as well. I need to clean this actually as well, just to make sure it's nice and bright. It is nice when stuff looks great when you use it, as well as sounding or looking good. Sort of picture or sound wise, it's nice when it's actually visually nice as well, nice and clean, and displays are bright. So I do always like to try and make sure that the displays are clean. Headphone socket as well. So let's get this back together. So these wires here, they come out below the little locking tab. So that's got it. I don't know what I did, but that's actually got it on. I think it's to do with the one cabling loom does need to come up here, not behind here with the other one. And that's why there's that bit of black plastic behind there. So yeah, that's yeah, interesting. So let's get this front put back on. So push this on. So convince that's sitting right. And clipped it in right. So the clips are actually pretty strong, and yeah, just gotta be patient with them and take it steady. Yeah, that's sitting right now. Super. So let's get the screws back in, and then we shall have a play. So you see the 3 screws here. There's multiple screws to choose from, but it's actually the ones that screw into the where it folds over from the front panel. It's actually a really nicely built piece of kit. So let's do the fuse track. Place your bets now. What fuse do you think is going to be in here? 13 amp. What a surprise. Yeah, so we'll swap that out. So there we go, 3 amp fuse installed. So put that back in. I'm actually tempted, shall we put a new plug on it? Let's just be done with it and put a new plug on it. That's better, new plug on, and obviously with the right fuse. So, time to give it a test, I suppose. Move my soldering iron out of the way because I really did think I was going to have to swap out some switches, but I didn't. So let's have a look. What's that on? Now the mains cable is actually really very short on this. Super, so that playback muting switch is working. It's really weird. Why would you glue that? I don't understand. I'll have to have a chat with the owner and just see why that would be a good thing to do. So I suppose the next thing is to plug in an audio source and have a look at the outputs and have a play. Okay, so just testing this, and there are other issues. Just playing back mini disc on my Sony and inputting straight into the line in, and you can see nothing's coming through, although it's getting information. So if I stop it, let's stop, press play. So it's actually encoding fine, but I'm not getting anything on the display. It might be I'm just not understanding the units. But if I press record mute, I get sound. Now, the slight thing I'm having with this is the relay that controls the mutes is actually dodgy. Although it seems to be alright now. Maybe me playing... Oh, there we go. See, it's dropped on the left channel. And there's something not right with that relay. But it is actually working. It is encoding. So that's good. But I need to sort something out with that relay. The other thing is, I've got playback muting on all the time. And if I press playback muting, the light comes on, but it doesn't actually go off on the actual units. And again, I might be missing something. I might have to check this, but that doesn't seem right. So yeah, that's a bit of an odd one. But anyway, let's just enjoy a little bit of the PCM encoding. So this is playback of some recordings I made using the PCM unit, and what I ended up doing is I used my Sony SL800 as the only actual working Betamax I have other than my 950, which is my main unit downstairs, that actually works. So I pressed the tape in and it wouldn't go in. This machine was perfect when I put it to one side, and it wouldn't take a tape in, and true to form, the center gear for the planetary gears on the loading mechanism had cracked. So yeah, I had to dig out a new one of those and fix that. I will do a video on this machine. It's a really great machine. And I absolutely love it. It's super, even down to its incandescent lamps that light up the flap there, and several of these functions, to be honest. Yeah, so I'm using that as the deck. Now, I did say about not getting any VU meter action when I'm putting audio through this, and I sort of missed the point of these units. This is an add-on for a video recorder, and it needs to have or see a video signal for it to actually work. If you don't have a video recorder plugged in, then you will get playback muting on all the time. And record mute, you're just monitoring the recording level, or the audio level as it comes into the unit. So yeah, I totally missed that, and it makes a lot of sense. This is an add-on. This isn't a unit in its own right, so it has to have a video signal present for it to trigger it to work, basically. So yes, the other thing I had as well is I was using some high quality AV leads, RCA leads from eBay, which are decidedly really rubbish. I mean, terribly rubbish. And I was getting all sorts of things with the playback muting kicking in, just because the cable just couldn't cope with the data, or the quality of data that this thing needs to actually work cleanly. Yeah, I've done quite a bit of recording. This is a multi-standard machine, so it's PAL, CCAM and NTSC. So it doesn't matter if I put it onto CCAM, it still works. Obviously, if I put it onto NTSC, it goes crazy, and yeah, it just cuts out, which you'd expect because it's a totally different frequency, and tape transport's different speed, and everything goes out of kilter. But this particular PCM unit is only PAL CCAM. Now, my understanding of this is that if I recorded PCM using NTSC on this and then played it back, this would not detect it, and you get playback muting again, just because the frequency that this is expecting to see of the video carrier would be wrong. Now, I could be wrong on that, but that's the way I interpret it. This is looking for a video carrier before it'll unmute the playback and perform, basically. But I will say the quality, I mean, I recorded it off my mini disc player, some audio, and I'm playing it back. I don't notice the difference. It's really, really great quality, and I just love it. It's just so, in the modern age, this is so bonkers to think about as a way of recording digital music. And indeed, I mean, it sort of makes me think about, like, in the IT world, the backup cassettes. So things like DAT, for example, which is a fairly good example, I suppose, to record digital data onto tape. And this is effectively what this is doing, albeit PCM and, using effectively a domestic unit. So, yeah, it's something I need to bear in mind when I'm working on the PCM-F1 that I featured in the previous video. That does still have power supply problems, and I've now got all the parts to get that going. Maybe we'll do another video on it as well, just a short one. But yeah, once it actually does power on properly, at the moment you power it on and it shuts down because it's got over voltage from the DC converter. Then yeah, it's I need to plug in a machine. So record mute, I sorted that out. What I actually did, I do actually have a couple of these relays kicking about, but I didn't want to pull this board apart. So what I actually did is I flicked off the top of the relay. It's actually fairly easy to do. And I put a tiny bit of a deoxit on the contacts, and it's perfect. It's actually done the trick really beautifully. So really pleased with that. So I suppose that's it. We have overcome everything, and it works. which is great. Quite a few more interesting videos to come. Like I said, I'll do one on the SL800 C6. That's still in the pipeline. I'm waiting for parts. Some are coming from Australia, which is crazy, but you know, trade deal and all that. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll do some more PCM stuff as well. And see you in another video.